Hello, 5th graders. Welcome to lesson 1.4, 10-to-1 relationships with division. Let's get started. Today's objective is I can evaluate 10-to-1 relationships by dividing numbers by tens, hundreds, and thousands using a place value chart with 100% accuracy in multiple attempts. Remember that this needs to be written in your digital math notebook, so if you need to pause to write that down, do that now. Today's lesson has one vocabulary word. The word is 1/10. We can write this as a fraction, 1/10, or we can write it in a word, 1-10th. We are going to talk about 1/10 of something when we divide. It means to divide by 10. So for example, 50 divided by 10 is 5. So 1/10 of 50 is 5. So if we look at this example here, this 7 is in the hundreds place. And if I divide it by 10, that would be 700 divided by 10. We're going to move back a 0 instead of adding a 0. So that means that our answer is going to be 70. Please pause to write the vocabulary in your digital math notebook. You do not need to write the example picture, but you are welcome to. All right, friends, remember the I up in the top corner means that you're just going to watch this part of the lesson. Today we are talking about dividing numbers. Yesterday we multiplied, today we divide. When we divide numbers by 10, 100, or 1,000, we do the opposite of multiplying. Instead of getting larger and moving our numbers to the right, the numbers get smaller and they move to the left. So here I have the example 5,000, and I'm going to take 1/10 of it, or divide by 10. And you'll notice that whenever I have a division symbol, instead of getting bigger, my number is going to get smaller. And we can look at the zeros to help tell us that. We can think about how many groups of 10 go into 50. Well, that would be 5. And then we look at these extra zeros. So if I use this 0 and this 0, that means that I have 2 zeros left over. So I got rid of 1 0. So if I divide by 10, I get rid of 1 0. So minus 1 0. So let's continue that pattern. If I divide by 100, 100 has 2 zeros. So 100 goes into 500, so take away 2 zeros, take away 2 zeros. That means that I'm left over with 50, which means I got rid of 2 zeros. There's 2 zeros in 100, which means I got rid of 2 zeros. So whatever there is in what I'm dividing is what I'm going to take away from my original number. So we know that 5,000 divided by 100 is 50. Great job. Let's keep going. You have a copy of this chart in your digital math notebook. Remember to complete it as I go over it in this lesson. We're going to be practicing the same skill that I had on the page before. We're going to divide by 10, 100, and 1,000. So if I start with 6,000 and I divide by 10, I'm going to take 1 0 off this side and 1 0 off this side. That means that I have 2 zeros left, so my answer is going to be 600. Because if I think about how many times 10 goes into 60, so if I say 60 divided by 10, that's going to be 6, right? So that's where that 6 comes from, and then I'm left over with these 2 zeros, and I can't just ignore them, so they have to be part of my answer. Now in 6,000, I'm going to get rid of 2 zeros on both sides, which means I have 1 0 left over, so my answer is going to be 60. 1 0 jumps on the end. Now I have 6,000 divided by 1,000. So if I count by 1,000s, I would count 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. So it would go in 6 times. And you can notice that as our dividing gets bigger, our numbers get smaller. Let's try that again with the next example. I have 50,000 divided by 10. So I have 1 0 and 1 0. So that means I have 3 zeros left over. So that's going to be 500. Now this time I'm going to take 100 away, which has 2 zeros, which means I'm left over with 2 zeros not used. So I have 500 again. And this is the same because notice that the first time I had 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros on this side and 1 0 on this side. But in the second time I had 4 zeros on this side and 2 zeros on this side. So it's okay that my number stayed the same because my question changed. And in the last one, we're going to divide 1, 2, 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3 zeros. So that one is going to be left over with 50. So when we're dividing, we really want to pay attention to those zeros on both sides of our division sign. Let's do one last one together. 34,000 divided by 10. So if we took 1/10 of this, we would take 1 0 away. So that would be 34, because that number is not going to change. And then I have 2 zeros. So that would be 3,400. Now this time we're going to divide by 100. So we're going to take away 2 zeros. So that means I'm left over with 1 0. So that one's going to be 340. Now I'm going to start with that 34 because I know my 34 is not going to change. And now I'm going to look at my zeros. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, look, no zeros left over. So that means my answer is just 34. Great job, guys. Make sure that you pause and type in your answers in the boxes in your digital math notebook. It is time for our lesson activity. Today's lesson activity is going to be practicing the skill that we just did in our digital math notebook. We're going to divide by 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000 by using our zeros. Remember that if we take away 1 0 on the right, we take away 1 0 on the left, which means we're left over with 1, 2, 3 zeros. So that would be 7, and then 1, 2, 3 zeros would be 7,000. All of your answers should start with a 7, but then we'll have different amounts of zeros. Be sure to count them and show your answers in your digital math notebook. Great job, 5th graders. Another flipped lesson done. When you feel comfortable with this lesson, you've completed all your notes and you've filled in all the boxes in your digital math notebook, then complete the exit slip to show your teacher your understanding. Great job!